Welcome back, everybody, to Empyrion Galactic Survival Alpha 9.5.0. I'm an old guy gaming, and we're going to continue working here on the capital ship. I thought I'd bring you back at this point because I just figured out how I'm going to do the switching for the non-essential power, and I thought I would show that to you. And I've made a couple more changes, and we have more changes to go. So let's go ahead and get started. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I'd greatly appreciate that. Also, so let's get these crops picked first. Each time they pop up, we pick them and keep making rations. So that way we'll have a nice supply of those when the time comes for me to take the garden back down before I save to the workshop. Alright, so that takes care of those. Pumpkins aren't quite ready yet, but that's okay. We'll put these in here. I guess I'll put the shrooms in there for now too. And I'm just making a whole bunch of juice too, just because I have an abundance of stuff. Oh, let's chow down on that Dino Royale stew. So we have 14 more rations, and then you know what, let's cancel that. Okay, so let me show you what I've done since the last episode first before we do anything else. I basically added a lot more fuel tanks to each one of the engine compartments. And so I filled in these spaces here with fuel tanks on both sides, and added more fuel tanks there. Okay, so we did that, and it's the same on that side, of course. Now let's come over here and go down to our hover deck here. I added these fuel tanks over here too. I think I mentioned that I was going to do that in the last episode. So we got quite a few more added there, and I've changed my mind about what I'm going to do over here. Now keep in mind too, here again, I'm setting this ship up for my particular configuration, and you know, I got to thinking, I still didn't really have any organized storage. I mean, this is all really more for processing and not so much for, like, you know, long-term storage or whatever. And so what we're going to do is we're going to set up some storage in this area here. I've decided not to use this to park ships, so we took the two other little small vessels and just put them back over on the space station up there. But you know, anybody that wants to use this ship can of course change it to their particular configuration. But what I'm setting it up is for my configuration and how I'm planning to use it. Now, you know, I've got a ton of hover vessels over here, and you know, some of you may not have that many hover vessels, and you might want to instead put more small vessels down there. So really, it's just up to how, you know, people want to configure it. But we're going to set this up for my configuration and what I want to do. So we've got quite a bit of space down here, and then we've got more space on the roof too. So what I'm going to do is, I think I made some more fuel tanks. Yes, I did. So we're going to take those fuel tanks, and I'm going to make a bunch more cargo bins, just normal cargo bins, because I'm going to show you something cool here. A lot of you guys already know about this too, but this is a new thing, or relatively new thing. And so we're going to make the little pallet things and have them down here, so it kind of looks like our cargo storage area. And I think that'll look really cool. And I might even add some more some rails for it too. I haven't decided that yet for sure. But for up here, I think what we'll do is we're going to do another row of fuel tanks. So let's put those in. And you know, now in retrospect, I could have actually made doubles for that. One, two. We would need 4 doubles. You know, that's more efficient. Let's do it. So we're going to change that. We're going to go, we're going to make 4 doubles instead. And, you know, if I end up with a whole bunch of extra equipment that I'm actually not going to use, then what we can do there is just put them in the deconstructor and get the materials back. Okay, so we're going to we'll put the 4 new fuel tanks up there when they're ready. But let's grab these cargo bins and let's play around a little bit with how we're going to arrange our storage here. So we're going to come out to, and I don't know what happens when you put, let's go with this style here. It says it's not airtight, but we don't really care about that. So I'm just wondering here. If I put, okay, we've got 24,000 volume there. If I put this next to it, does that add to it? It does not. Okay. So we can actually safely do that. So we're going to put these all along here, all the way back to there. And what that's going to do is that's going to give us quite a bit of just general storage. And we'll label that different stuff. So, you know, one will be like, say, building components. One will be processed ore maybe or something. One will be items to sell. One could be, you know, excess ammo, excess fuel, etc., etc. And then we'll pop those fuel tanks in behind there. Okay, so we got those set up. Now, let's also play around with some of these pallets too. And so I'm going to need to make more cargo bins for that. So let's queue up, say, another 10 of those. And we're just waiting for the fuel. So let's come back to this. I want to work a little bit on the switching now and kind of show you, you know, what's going to go on with that. So here's the thing. I started messing around with this off camera, and I discovered that you can't add an actual physical switch, you know, a little switch that you put on the wall to flip off and on, to a group. Because what I wanted to do is I wanted to create one switch. I was going to put it up on the bridge. I was going to put up on the bridge and then, you know, flip that switch and turn off all non-essential stuff. Well, you can do that, but the problem is you have to assign actual individual components to the switch as opposed to groups. And in the case of lights, for example, I have 335 lights on here. I did not want to go through and assign that 335 times. So I'm going, what the hell? And so what I did is I looked it up on Google, and you've got these little custom categories here that you can use. And the purpose of these categories is that they're switches that you can actually assign to groups. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to assign this stuff to groups. Now, I'm going to hold off on the constructors because a constructor, when it's idle, doesn't use very much. So it only uses 5 power units. I guess that's what that stands for. Whereas if you're actually using it, you know, then it's 1,500, I guess, if I'm reading that right, power units. So it doesn't really use that much power. And the reason I would like to leave the constructors on is because I might want to be, you know, cooking up fuel and or ammo or other stuff while I'm offline. And I want to try and use the default groups as much as possible because, you know, if I add something later, then I'm going to have to regroup everything. And if I create custom groups, you know, then those get wiped out every time you create a new group. Because the idea there was I would take, like, say, the fuel constructor and put it into its own custom group and not apply the non-essential power switch to it. But then if I add anything else and I regroup, then I got to redo all that over. So I'm going to try and make this work with just the default groupings. And therefore, you know, the constructors themselves, if they're not being used, you know, they don't use that much power. Interesting that this one uses quite a bit less when it's active than these. But they all just use 5 power units when they're idle. Okay, so we're going to skip over that group. But what we are going to do is we're going to add anything else, any other groups that can be deemed non-essential, which includes the thrusters. Now, yes, I can turn the thrusters off from here, but let's just say, I'm having an old guy moment, and I forget to turn the thrusters off, and I log off, but I always know that before I log off, I turn this. So this will still cover me on the thrusters, even if I forget to turn them off there. Okay, so that's the idea behind that. So we're making sure that all of the thrusters groups are set to the non-essential power. Doors don't have anything equipment. Now in equipment, let's just look through this quickly. We definitely want to make sure the repair bay is turned off because that uses 20,000 units, and it when it's on, so it sucks a lot of power whether you're using it or not. Okay, and of course we don't need that on. We don't need the repair stations on. None of this stuff. This doesn't use power. Wireless connection, again, that's not something that we have to have turned on while we're not on the ship. So I think everything in this equipment group can be turned off and can be considered non-essential power. Now, of course, the food processors, same idea. They use a fair amount of power when they're not in use, but I might, want to have rations or whatever queued up and cooking up while I'm offline. So we're gonna not put the food process and obviously we're not putting fridges in the group either because those have to stay on. And they use a fair amount of power. So food processors, fridges are exempt. Fuel tanks are not powered. Generator, obviously that has to stay on. The gravity generator, however, does not. So we'll add the gravity generator to the non-essential power. Growing lights do have to stay on for obvious reasons, so those will be excluded. Hangars and shutter doors don't matter. Harvest. The only thing we could possibly run into trouble with here is if this is... Oh, well, that doesn't have a power button anyways. So it's a moot point. Okay, never mind. Multi-turrets do use energy when they're not actually in use. Very interesting. So I think we can safely add this to the group too. Because the ore controller is not something that's turned off and on anyway. So we're good. Okay, LCD screens. Obviously, I'm going to be setting a bunch of those up. And so all of them will be turned off when the ship's not here. Now the lights I've already added to that group just to test it. Medical doesn't matter. O2 stations don't matter. Tanks don't matter. Ventilators do need to stay on for the crops. So those we will not be adding to the list. They use 20 power units though. That's a little bit, but okay. So passenger seats. Those use power? No. They don't use power, but I wonder why I would assign that to that. I don't know. It doesn't make sense, so I'm not going to assign it. I wonder if you turn these off, then people can't sit in them? We should experiment with that. So let's do that. We don't need RCSs on, of course, when the ship's not running. Landing gears don't have power. Signal sensors. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any reason why we would need these on, even though they don't use that much power. Well, it would open the doors for us when we're approaching the ship, even with everything else off. And because they don't use that much power, I think we'll exempt those. We don't need the spotlight on. None of the turrets need to be on. Now, the exception to that might be if we were ever in a situation where we were parking in a hostile location. So that, that could be iffy. Warp, nothing in warp. Weapons, I think these are just, these are like the player-controlled weapons. Those definitely don't need to be on when we're offline. And then the rest of these, we haven't grouped them because we haven't set them yet. Okay, so now what we should be able to do is go here, and if we turn, that turns everything on. and then that should cut the lights, turns the turrets off, and should shut off everything that's non-essential. Now, let's take a look and see what we got going on here. So now we have 263 hours of power. I don't even know how that translates into days, but that's several weeks, I believe. 263 hours. And what that means then is I can come along and I can, be offline for a long time and not worry about it. So when we turn this back on and all that stuff comes back on, now we're down to 58 hours of power. And that's, that's 2.5 days or so, right? Okay, so I think we got that set up good. Now, again, I'm not finished with the ship, so I'm going to be adding more stuff and grouping stuff. But the idea behind this was to set it up to where it works with the auto groupings, and therefore we don't have to worry about recreating custom groups whenever we add something new and then redo this. Now, I do want to check something out though. If I auto group this now, did it blow away this? Doesn't look like it. So it looks like it still kept those assignments on the groups that apparently either didn't change or that that it added more stuff to. Cool. Okay, so that worked out quite well. So even with full power, we still have about 2.5-ish days, and with 100% fuel there. Okay, good. So we got that fixed. Now let's take a look at what we might want to do here for cargo. We'll play around with this a little bit. Keep hitting the wrong damn button. Give me those fuel tanks. Let's put those in. I want these LCDs. In fact, we're going to need more LCDs. Quite a few more, in fact. So let's get at least 20 more of those going. Okay, so we're going to pop the fuel tanks in behind here. Actually, yeah, we do want them this way. And we'll color those black like everything else we've been doing. All right, cool. Now, for the cargo containers, I haven't decided if I'm going to color code these or not. I'm not really sure about that. So, I mean, if we did and we just kind of went down the... Well, that looks the same as the normal. Yeah, these gray colors don't quite cut the mustard, do they? Yeah. Really? Huh. I don't know why that just changed me to friendly. No one else is on but me right now. That was weird. Maybe it improves over time. So, I mean, let's run with this for now. But, we might... I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with that color coding scheme or not. We'll have to wait and see. And then we just have to decide again, what we want to put in each one of these. And this is, again, general storage for the ship. Okay, now, we're also going to... Let's look in here for a minute. Didn't I make more cargo boxes? Oh, I did. Yeah, they're right here. So down here, let's do this. Let's clear off this stuff for the moment, anyway. Okay. Now this is going to be like the designated cargo storage area, right? And we're going to use these pallets. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of create just rows of random pallets here. in no particular style or whatever. We'll just keep kind of alternating them. Like so. Actually, you know what makes more sense now that I think about it? Well, if we walk down here, then we can grab stuff on either side. Or the other thing I was thinking we could do instead is, you know, kind of like do them back to back. So yeah, well, those would stay there. These would come up. And these, you know, if you guys didn't already know this, these are actual usable pallets or storage devices. But I'm kind of doing this more for aesthetics, because I think it's the stuff up above that we'll actually use for our storage. That does look really cool, though. I like that. Okay, so we need 5 more of those. Yeah, let's go here. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That looks really cool, because now we kind of have like our little cargo storage area. Actually, no, you know what? No, hold on. Stop. I think, especially since we are planning on just using this for aesthetics, let's not have these out. Whoops, out here. Daggone it. So we have a little more clearance there for, you know, when we're bringing the hovercrafts in and stuff. This is just, you know, to me, I love this kind of stuff, because it's just, it really adds to the, you know, the immersion or role-playing aspect, or however you want to call it, to the game. Now we could go ahead and mark this off now as, you know, the place to put the cargo. And probably, what if we, yeah, let's just keep using these here. What if instead of this, we use this? Oh. I don't know. That's kind of buggy on the eyes. I think that's too much. So let's take this back off. And we'll go back to... Ah, shit. Now we got to repaint it. Dang it, burn it. Okay, so... just trying to think here how I want to do this. Oh, you know what? I hope that didn't just screw up something underneath, because I had that on full block, didn't I? Dadgummit. Let's go look. Oh, no, we're good. We're good, because we have double plating. Okay. So, we could go with this type of deal. Let's go back to that for a minute. Do we want to do something like that? And if so, yeah, I think we do. At least on these corners here. And then here we'll just go across like so. And for in here, doesn't really give us much of an option for in here, does it? I don't really like that. That's probably the best setup, right? Like that. Okay. I like it. I'm liking it. I think that's what we want to do. Looks really good, I think. Like we have a true cargo storage area. And like I said, I mean, these are actual usable containers. So if we ever decided we needed them for some reason, I don't think we will. I mean, there's a lot of storage with just these guys. I might leave these unlabeled for now and just utilize them as, you know, as time goes on. When I start to get, you know, like a surplus of things. But we'll definitely use one of them for sure for stuff that we're planning on selling. So when we go raid a base and we get a bunch of extra equipment, you know, we'll have one set aside for that for sure. So, okay, so I think that covers, we got our switches done. We've got the cargo in place. And let's regroup everything now. Well, no, let's not bother with that yet, because now what we have to do is put some signs up. So we're going to go to our output. Let's grab all these LCDs here. And we'll come over to here. And we want 8. So I think what I'm going to do here, that's got a frame on it. What I want to do is I want to figure out what the orientation of this is. All right. So let's use a text color of maybe yellow. We'll try yellow. And we'll make the font size, let's try 20. And this is going to be ammo. Okay, so it is not the right direction. So that means that when we place the next one, we want to rotate it, I think, this way. Okay, so the base is actually facing us, so I want to say it actually needs to go this way. Let's see if I'm right about that. All right, so this is fuel and O2. Here, let's just actually spell out oxygen. Text colors yellow, font size is 20. All right, so yeah, that is the right orientation. However, it's a little bit big. So if we go down to 18, maybe even 16. Okay. So now we know those are facing the right way. So let's pop all of these in. And I'm going to go ahead and put LCDs in place for all of this, but I'm not going to necessarily label them all right now. So let's rotate this guy. And I think I'm going to keep everything left aligned. Oh, time is up already? My word. When you're having fun, right? Alright, let's just finish the signs here and then we'll wrap up the episode. So this is ore. So we want a yellow text color. We'll make this one 20 since... yeah, that's actually going to be too big probably. 15. Can we go 16? Yeah. Sorry about that. All right. Yeah, let's go with that. It looks a little crowded though, doesn't it? All right, let's change this down to 15. That's a little better. Fuel and oxygen ore processing. Okay, so this one is general items. So we'll go yellow. General. Should we call it general items or just general processing? I think, let's go with items and see. Maybe 16. All right. And actually, no, you know what we need to do here is we need to go general. We'll call this general input. And this one will be general output. And we'll make that 16. Is that one 16 too? No, we made that one 17. Okay, whoever's calling me left me a voicemail, so I'll check that when we're done with the episode. Okay, cool. And then I think because we know for sure that we're going to have one for items that we're going to sell, we're going to call this sellable items. Maybe 18. And then these I'm just going to leave blank until, like I said, I get to the point where I know what I'm going to use them for. And these, I think I'm not going to color these. I'm just going to leave them their default color because it looks very realistic and authentic for what cargo probably would look like. I wonder why those are strapped on and those aren't. Maybe we could just imagine that these are like magnetic skids, we'll say. I think that looks good. I'm really digging that, you guys. Really digging that. Okay. So we've got our switching taken care of. We got some signs put up. We got our storage situated. Made some changes there. And I think we are really, really close to being ready to put this thing on the workshop. Really close. But what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to pull up all the crops before we save it. And I think we're about ready for our first release of the blacklight here. So, I think that's it for this episode, guys. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And I will think about this a little more and feel, if I feel like we're ready to publish it, then I will make some screenshots and pull up all the crops, get it saved, and get it up on the workshop for you guys. I'm going to wait just a little bit longer, because there's still probably a half a dozen things or more that I either overlooked or want to change later. But, there can be multiple versions of the ship too. But it's pretty, I think it's pretty ready to go, you know, for the initial release out of space there. Okay, so we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Take care. Bye.